were you when Japan bombed Pearl Harbor? December the 7th, 1941.
The battalion, the infantry battalion that I was in, we were sent from Fort Sam Houston in San Antonio to put on a demonstration for the artillery in Fort Sill, Oklahoma. And that night, or the morning, I was on guard duty, walking my post around some warehouses, and I was relieved of duty there by another soldier about 4 o'clock, and he asked me, says, "Have you heard about Pearl Harbor?" And I said, "Where in the world is Pearl Harbor?" But anyway, it turned out the bombing was December the 7th, 1941, and it turned out to be in September of 43 before we finally left Camp McCoy, Wisconsin to head for Europe. But anyway, we were indoctrinated with shots. It seemed like every time we turned around, we were taking another round of shots. Anyway, I don't know the exact date that we boarded the ship. And my battalion, we were on the Thomas H. Berry, and it was an old World War I ship, had a wooden deck, and we were there in the harbor on the ship, probably about 3 days before we started moving out of the harbor. And it was getting late in the evening when the ship, Thomas H. Berry, we passed real close to the Statue of Liberty. And it was a funny feeling to me to stand on deck and watch the Statue of Liberty go out of sight. I stood there till I couldn't see it anymore. A lot of thoughts were running through my mind, wondering, would I come back this way again? We were probably halfway across the Atlantic, and our guns started firing, and all the GIs that could get up on deck, we were rubbernecking, trying to see what was going on, and we couldn't really see anything to give us any indication that we were under a U-boat attack. But we found out a little later, maybe the next day or two, that there was a pack of U-boats that was trying to break into our convoy. But we were very heavily protected by naval destroyers. They were on our flanks. We had 2 cruisers with us. And anyway, I think the convoy, of course I could be miscalculating here, but it seemed like there must have been around 100 ships when we all got together out in the Atlantic. And the water, I remember, was very rough, very scary. Could be standing on deck and we'd look up at the swells and it'd be way up above the ship. And at times I'd be at the half of the ship. The propeller would be completely out of the water. The water was terrible, nearly everyone on the boat where it was seasick.
I don't think I can
Luckily,
imagine that.
I did not get sick.
You didn't get sick.
I never got sick. We really didn't know where our destination was to be, but it happened to be in Northern Ireland at Belfast is where we docked. And it was about midnight that night when we docked at Belfast Harbor. We had been there probably about 5 months, and General George Patton, which they call Blood and Guts, he reviewed our division, 2nd Division. They're in a big mall there on the inside of Armagh, Northern Ireland. And being a tall person, I was on the front rank, and I thought maybe that he was going to stop and talk to me as he made his front rank review, and because he had talked to a soldier about 5 down from me. And I figured, well, it'll be his next person will be me. But he stared me right in the face. We were all at attention, and he went right on by me. And well, he talked to another GI, and then he made it about face. He got in his Jeep. You can see his pearl handle revolvers, and they made a U. Engineers had constructed a place for him to speak from. It was kind of like a boxing ring. They had a PA system set up for him, and our division commander, General Walter Robinson, introduced him to the troops. All the time he was speaking, which was approximately 1 hour, he never gave us at ease. We stood at rigid attention for as long as he spoke to us. And I do remember some of the things that he said, and very, very disturbing, especially to Christian people to hear such language that he spoke. And I don't think I need to record it on your program here.
Okay.
One of them, I will say that he remarked when we got going, he said we'd soon be in combat, and said there's not going to be any digging in. We're not going to be soil excavators. And the mall there was had apartment buildings all the way around it, and we could cut our eyes to these apartments, and the windows, the more he talked, the windows were coming down. People were sitting in the window sills listening to his speech. But after a while, I guess that's about all they wanted to hear, since so many of his words were curse words. At that time, Johnny, I was not a Christian. And it was bad to me. I really have thought down through the years how he got by with that kind of language. Yet, after the war, now this was hearsay, but of all the armies that had casualties, his army, the Third Army, had less casualties than any of them. That's the First Army, Seventh Army, the Ninth Army,